A traffic stop lasts, on average, just a few minutes. Flashing lights, a brief conversation, a warning, a ticket, and everyone drives away. But behind the glass, intent, and routine, there's risk that never really shuts off. In 2024 alone, there were 39 separate shooting incidents originating from traffic stops. 49 officers were shot in those moments that began with a simple pullover. 12 never made it home. Preliminary data from the first half of 2025 shows a significant decrease in line-of-duty deaths overall, and that's a reason to hope. But one truth refuses to budge. Traffic enforcement remains one of the leading circumstances for fatalities. As of mid-2024, traffic stops and disturbance calls together accounted for nearly 44% of all officer shooting incidents. And when officers step out of their vehicles, another danger is waiting. Struck-by deaths, officers hit by passing cars, surged by 113% in 2024 compared to 2023. Many of those happened while they were doing the most basic things: checking a license, consoling a driver after a crash, laying down flares, directing traffic. This isn't a story about statistics, it's about names. It's about the 4 officers we'll honor, 4 guardians whose last call began with the same sequence we've all seen from our own windshields: lights, siren, shoulder, stop. This is for Officer Jonathan Diller, Corporal Mohamad Said, Trooper Joel Popp, Deputy Timothy B. Corlew. Their stories remind us that behind every stop is a choice to run toward the unknown for someone else's safety, and sometimes at the highest cost imaginable. If you're watching this, chances are you've been pulled over before. Maybe you were going a few miles over, maybe your taillight was out, maybe you weren't sure what you did. You feel the adrenaline kick, your chest tightens, you check your mirror, you pull over, you wait. Now imagine stepping out of the patrol car. You know the data, you don't know the driver. You can't see the hands, you can't see what's under the seat or in the door pocket or in the passenger's mind. You have protocols, you have training, you have experience, and still you are walking into uncertainty on the shoulder of a road where cars roar past inches from your back. This is where these 4 stories begin.
Case 1. Officer Jonathan Diller. In New York City, every square mile is a heartbeat. Sirens are part of the soundtrack, and so is service. Officer Jonathan Diller wore the badge in a place that never sleeps and rarely slows down. He understood the rhythm of the streets, how everything looks normal until it isn't. He wasn't famous. He wasn't trying to be. He was a son of the city, a husband, a father, a partner. His uniform, like every NYPD uniform, did not grant him superpowers. It gave him a promise to keep. A traffic stop in Queens, a car that should have kept moving but didn't. The kind of stop that, countless times before, ends with a routine exchange. But this time, danger was already inside the vehicle, compressed into a decision made by someone he'd never met. There is a moment in every stop where time stretches thin, the space between license and registration, and everything that can go right or wrong. For Officer Diller, that moment dissolved in an instant of violence that left the city grieving a young life dedicated to protecting it. What do we say when a promise is broken by a split-second act? We say we remember. We say his name, Officer Jonathan Diller. We think about how he chose the job not to make headlines, but to make the street safer for people he would never meet. The numbers we shared at the start still sit heavy. 39 shooting incidents during traffic stops in 2024. 49 officers shot, 12 of them gone. This is the weight of one of those 12. Behind that number is a uniform that waits in a closet, a desk that someone else now keeps clean, and a roll call that echoes a name. No answer. Gone, but not forgotten. In the days after, there were candles and salutes and streets lined with people who didn't know him but understood the sacrifice. That's New York. That's America. We can disagree about a lot, but we agree about what it means when someone stands between danger and us. His legacy is carved not in stone, but in the lives he inspired. The partner who still checks both mirrors. The rookies who listen more carefully during training. The civilians who slow down when they see lights up ahead because they finally understand what's at stake. We remember Officer Diller not by the way his life ended, but by the way he lived. Straight-backed, steady-eyed, stepping out of a patrol car into the unpredictable, because safety asks for people who do what is necessary, not what is comfortable. You don't have to know the uniform to feel the loss. You only have to imagine driving home after a long day, seeing lights on the shoulder, and deciding to give them space. Sometimes, that's all it takes to keep someone alive.
Case 2. Corporal Mohamad Said. Corporal. It's a word that means you've carried more weight. You've led from the front. You've earned trust. Corporal Mohamad Said's title wasn't just a stripe on a sleeve. It was years of answering calls that came at all hours, in all conditions, for all kinds of people. There are traffic stops in quiet neighborhoods that don't make headlines. A rolling stop at a stop sign, a lane change without signaling, a plate that doesn't match. In every one of those stops, the same question lingers: what am I really walking into? Corporal Said understood that risk calculus intimately. He knew that what looks routine can be anything but. He knew the vital rule every academy drills into its recruits. Hands. Find the hands. Talk calmly. Stand where you can see. Be ready to move. Call for backup if your gut says something's off. There's a particular courage in doing the ordinary under extraordinary uncertainty. We talk about firefights and dramatic rescues, but the most dangerous thing many officers will do day after day is step out of the car on a roadside to talk to a driver. Think about that. It's a conversation until it isn't. The vast majority of the time it's uneventful, but the officer never gets to decide which time becomes the exception. When the end came for Corporal Said, it was tethered to that reality. A stop, a contact, an escalation, fast, unexpected, and final. It's a pattern we know too well. The aftermath arrives like a wave. Sirens, radios, a hospital, a family that will never get the call they were waiting for. Who was he? He was the colleague you wanted on your wing, the mentor who would take an extra 5 minutes to teach, the steady presence on a chaotic scene. He was the person who would find the words to calm an anxious driver, the person who could tell the difference between nerves and danger, and who knew that respect cuts both ways. He's part of a lineage now, a roll of names shared at memorials across the country, different badges, different patches, same oath. His loss lives in the small rituals, the locker that stays closed, the chair that stays empty, the radio call sign that no longer answers. We name him because names matter. Corporal Mohamad Said. We honor him because honor is not a policy, it's a promise we make to those who serve and fall. And we learn from his story because learning is how we keep others alive. Here's a lesson his story drives home, one we can all use. If you're pulled over, pull as far right as safely possible. Create a buffer. Your safety and the officer's safety increase with every extra foot between you and the lane of traffic. Turn on your interior light at night. Roll down the windows. Keep your hands visible on the wheel. Not because you're guilty, because visibility breeds calm. If you need to reach for something, say it first. My registration is in the glove box. Is it okay if I reach for it slowly? Words diffuse tension. Predictability lowers risk. A stop is a partnership. Two people who don't know each other trying to resolve a moment cleanly. Most of the time it ends with a signature and a goodbye. Sometimes it turns into something we can't take back. In honoring Corporal Said, we acknowledge the thin line between routine and tragedy,
and we commit ourselves to thinning the risks wherever we can, through smarter policy, better training, and yes, the simple courtesy and caution of millions of motorists who share the road.
Case 3. Trooper Joel Popp. The shoulder of a highway is one of the most dangerous workplaces in America. High speeds, minimal protection, inches between safety and catastrophe. State troopers live there, day, night, heat, snow, fog, glare. They are the guardians of the asphalt. Trooper Joel Popp wore that hat, that badge, that weight. You've seen someone like him in your rear view. He's the one you called when a car spun out on black ice. He's the one who sat behind you with lights flashing while you changed a flat. He's the one who slowed traffic around a mangled fender so a mother could unbuckle her shaken child and step to the median. The data is unflinching. Struck by fatalities, officers hit by vehicles while outside their own, rose by 113% in 2024 compared to 2023. Many of those happened right here, on the shoulder, during stops and crash responses. Most drivers don't intend harm. Most just aren't paying enough attention, or they don't move over, or they're looking at their phones, or they're fighting the gravitational pull of speed that makes 70 miles per hour feel normal. Trooper Popp's ending is a testament to how thin the margin is out there. One moment he was doing what troopers have done for decades, making contact, addressing a violation, keeping the roadway safe. The next, the unexpected unfolded, fast, irreversible. Whether it's a gun flashed in a heartbeat or a vehicle that fails to hug the far lane, the danger vector on the shoulder is merciless. But a life can't be reduced to the way it was taken. Trooper Popp's was defined by the way he showed up. He was the officer who stayed late to make sure a report was clean, because accuracy matters when the public's trust is on the line. He was the one who taught new recruits the tricks that don't make the handbook, where to stand when you approach a car at night, how to read the breathing of a driver who's hiding something, how to use your voice to lower the temperature of a tense stop. He was also the quiet hero of 100 tiny rescues you never saw on the news. The stranded motorist who got a gallon of gas, the elderly driver who followed him to the next exit because the headlights were blinding, the runaway dog herded back to the shoulder and into an anxious owner's arms. When we say move over, we're not reciting a slogan. We're talking about human beings like Trooper Popp, people who are inches from your bumper, trusting you to do the right thing. If you only remember one thing from Trooper Popp's case, remember this. The shoulder is someone's workplace. It's someone's life. When you see flashing lights, blue, red, amber, white, move over. If you can't, slow down. A lot. Your text can wait. Your podcast can pause. Your timeline can scroll later. Eyes up, hands on, space given, lives saved. Trooper Joel Popp's legacy is a safer highway every time someone remembers to change lanes. It's a new driver taught by a parent to respect the lights ahead. It's a community that understands that traffic enforcement isn't about tickets, it's about life and death on the edge of fast-moving steel. We speak his name because it deserves to be said out loud, and because his is a story stitched into the fabric of every mile marker you pass at speed.
Case 4. Deputy Timothy B. Corlew. There are corners of this country where backup can be 15 minutes away, where a single deputy carries a county in the trunk of a patrol car, where the dark is darker, the roads narrower, and the choices lonelier. Deputy Timothy B. Corlew wore that reality with quiet pride. Rural deputies know every road by smell and sound. They know who lives in which farmhouse and which mailbox is leaning. They also know that routine stops feel different when the nearest help is a couple of towns over. A car drifts over the center line. A tail light is out. A plate doesn't return clean. A decision is made.
initiate the stop. Blue lights bloom in the dark, casting a scene in shades of midnight and truth. Deputy Corlew stepped out into that night the way he always had, with caution, with clarity, with commitment. He made contact, he read the situation, he trusted his training. And then, like it too often does, everything changed. The danger wasn't theoretical, it was immediate. When a deputy falls, a county feels it personally. The courthouse flag doesn't just fly at half-staff, it tilts the sky over the places he served. The school resource officer who cracks jokes at lunch, the Little League coach who knows every kid's name, the neighbor who helps pull a truck out of a ditch after a storm, the face at your door when you dial 911 for something you can't handle alone. Deputy Timothy B. Corlew's story is about more than a badge. It's about a man who believed in the small, steady acts that hold a community together. He believed in fairness, in firmness, in restraint. He believed in ending a night's work with fewer problems than it began with. He also understood the larger story unfolding nationwide, how traffic enforcement remains one of the most dangerous parts of the job, even as overall line-of-duty deaths showed a welcome decline in the first half of 2025. The paradox is painful. Progress in the aggregate, heartbreak in the particular. When you drive the roads he drove, you'll feel echoes. The quiet gulfs between streetlights, the way your headlights carve a tunnel through the dark. Somewhere out there, another deputy is pulling someone over right now. Somewhere out there, a wife or husband is checking a clock. A child is sleeping. A radio is crackling with codes that mean everything to the people who wear the uniform and nothing to anyone else. Deputy Timothy B. Corlew's legacy lives in every miles-long stretch of county road where someone sees lights behind them and decides this won't be the night they make a bad decision worse. It lives in the training rooms where experienced deputies tell rookies, take the extra second, call it in, trust your instincts. He will not be forgotten, not in his county, not in his department, not in the long memory of a profession that holds tight to the names of those who gave all for the safety of the rest of us.
4 names, 4 uniforms, 4 endings at the edge of the ordinary. If there's a pattern, is this: the moments we take for granted are the ones that require the most courage. Let's return to those numbers and let them speak. In 2024, traffic stops sparked 39 separate shooting incidents. 49 officers were shot, 12 died. As of mid-2024, traffic stops and disturbance calls together accounted for nearly 44% of officer shootings. Struck-by fatalities rose by 113% in 2024 compared to 2023, many happening during traffic stops or crash investigations. Preliminary data in 2025 shows a significant decrease in line-of-duty deaths overall. Still, traffic enforcement remains a leading circumstance for fatalities. What do we do with these numbers? We can't ignore them. We can't accept them. We can only act. Here's how action looks on both sides of the badge. For policymakers and police leaders, invest in smarter roadside safety infrastructure, better lighting at high-risk pull-off areas, shoulder rumble strips, and signage that compels compliance with move-over laws. Equip patrol vehicles and uniforms with tech that buys seconds, highly visible chevrons, active lighting patterns that signal caution ahead, body-worn beacons for night operations, portable barriers where feasible. Train, retrain, and refresh. Tactical positioning at the window, passenger side approaches when appropriate, traffic control during crash scenes, decision-making under stress, scenario-based and frequent. Use data to target risk, identify hotspots where traffic stops escalate, and adjust tactics, presence, and timing accordingly. For civilians, know your state's move-over law, then go beyond it. When you see lights, move over if you can. If you can't, slow down significantly. Pretend it's your family member on that shoulder. If you're pulled over, make it easy. Signal, pull as far right as safely possible, turn on your interior light at night, roll down your window, keep your hands visible, and narrate your movements. If you disagree with the stop, disagree safely. Comply in the moment, contest later. Courts are the place for arguments. Roadsides are the place for safety. For both, remember we're all human. Officers bring their own fears and hopes to a stop. Civilians do too. Respect de-escalates. Clarity calms. Patience prevents. What did these men love? The answer is the same one you'd give if someone asked about you. Their families, their friends, the warm routine of ordinary days. Officer Jonathan Diller loved his city and his family, and he loved the idea that service could carve safety out of chaos. Corporal Mohamad Said loved mentorship and leadership, the quiet pride of watching a younger officer grow more confident, more capable, more safe. Trooper Joel Popp loved the open road, the responsibility of keeping it safe, the satisfaction of preventing tragedy long before it starts. Deputy Timothy B. Corlew loved the geography of his community, the way neighbors look out for each other, the way a deputy's presence can settle a scene with a few words and a steady gaze. These are not abstractions. These are men who ate breakfast, who yawned in the middle of night shifts, who laughed at bad jokes and roll call, who carried the same everyday worries we all carry, who still laced up their boots and did a hard job because they believed it mattered. The ripple effect of one life is immeasurable. For every name we've spoken, there are 100 lives touched, 1,000 days altered, 1,000,000 moments we will never know. There are places where the distance between the public and the police feels like a canyon, and there are places where it feels like a handshake. The difference is often measured in listening. When a community understands that traffic enforcement is not a nuisance but a lifeline, when it sees the data and connects it to the faces of the fallen, something shifts. A driver who once muttered at the sight of lights now signals early, pulls over wide, and waits calmly. A local council budgets for bright new vests and better flares. A school invites a trooper to speak to driver's ed classes about move-over laws and why they exist. It doesn't take much to bend a trend. 100 small actions add up to fewer funerals. Here's what you can do starting now. Memorize your state's move-over law, then practice it. When stopped by police, roll down your window, turn on your dome light at night, keep your hands visible, and narrate your movements. If you're stressed or confused, use your words. Ask for clarification calmly. Ask for a supervisor if you need one. Comply in the moment, contest later if necessary. Put your phone away when you drive, not just because it's the law, but because a split second of attention can save a life on the shoulder. Share this message with a new driver. Make it part of the first lesson. Support policies and budgets that improve roadside safety for everyone. Better lighting, better signage, better training, better equipment. This episode is dedicated to Officer Jonathan Diller, Corporal Mohamad Said, Trooper Joel Popp, and Deputy Timothy B. Corlew, and to every officer who steps out of a patrol car into the unknown so the rest of us can keep moving safely through the ordinary days we take for granted. May their memories be a blessing. May their legacies be our responsibility. And may every set of flashing lights be a reminder, not just to slow down on the road, but to slow down in our judgments, to make room for each other's humanity, and to choose again and again the small actions that save lives. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, share it. Before you go, subscribe and tap the bell. We release periodic true crime deep dives, line of duty cases, traffic stops that turn deadly, victim-centered investigations, unsolved mysteries, courtroom turns, and the human stories behind the headlines. Your subscription helps us tell respectful, verified narratives and keep these memories alive.